హలో వెల్కమ్ టు సాక్షి. ఇవాళ స్టూడెంట్స్‌కి సంబంధించి, అలాగే వాళ్ళ పేరెంట్స్‌కి సంబంధించిన ఒక చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ మేము ఈ ప్రోగ్రామ్‌లో ఇవ్వబోతున్నాం. ముఖ్యంగా మన ఆంధ్ర, తెలంగాణ రాష్ట్రాల్లో మనకు తెలిసిందే. సో, విద్యార్థులు విదేశీ విద్యకు అక్కడ చదువుకోవడానికి ఎంత ఇంపార్టెన్స్ చూపిస్తుంటారు. దానికి చాలామంది కన్సల్టెంట్స్‌ని గూడా వాళ్ళు అప్రోచ్ అవుతుంటారు. కొంతమంది ఓన్‌గా జేసుకోవడానికి కూడా ఇష్టపడతారు. బట్ వాళ్ళకి తెలియాల్సింది కొన్ని కొన్ని మరుగున పడిన వాస్తవాలు తెలియాల్సుంది. అది ముఖ్యంగా ఏంటి అంటే సర్టిఫికల్ ఇవాల్యుయేషన్. అంటే వాళ్ళ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ గాని ఇవన్నీ గూడా కరెక్ట్‌గా ఉన్నాయా? లేదా? వాటిని ధృవీకరించాల్సిన అవసరం ఏ మేరకుంది? ఇది కేవలం వాళ్ళ విద్యకే కాదు, వాళ్ళ కెరియర్‌కి కూడా ఏ రకంగా ఉపయోగపడుతుంది అనేది ఈరోజు మనం చర్చించబోతున్నాం. మనతో ఉన్నారు గెస్ట్ మిస్ ఎస్టర్ బెంజమిన్. షీస్ అ సీఈఓ అండ్ ఎగ్జిక్యూటివ్ డైరెక్టర్ ఫర్ వరల్డ్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ సర్వీసెస్. సో, ఆవిడ ఈరోజు ఇస్తున్న సూచనలు చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ స్టూడెంట్ లైఫ్‌కి, అలాగే తర్వాత వాళ్ళు ఎంచుకోబోయే ప్రొఫెషన్‌కి. సో, డు నాట్ మిస్ ఇట్ అండ్ కంప్లీట్‌గా ఈ ప్రోగ్రామ్ చూడండి. మీ కామెంట్స్‌ని గూడా మాకు పెట్టండి. లెట్స్ వెల్కమ్ ఎస్తర్ బెంజమిన్. గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ అండ్ హౌ ఆర్ యూ మ్యామ్?
Thank you. Thanks for having me here. It's great to be in Hyderabad.
Wonderful. How is Hyderabad treating you, by the way?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I always enjoy visiting here, and it seems like the city is doing so well, and what great people.
Yeah. Do you know the fact, like, Hyderabad, for that matter, two Andhra Telugu states, Andhra and Telangana, they are like, prominent, and it produces more number of students like who wants to go abroad and pursue their studies.
It has become quite the hub for international student mobility. I've followed this trend very closely over the past decade or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So briefly, like, do you want to introduce yourself? Like, what exactly, your expertise and how you been? And, we heard that you were in Obama administration as well.
Yes, I've had a career over the past 30 years across government, private sector, and nonprofit organizations. I am currently the CEO of World Education Services, and we work around the world. We collaborate with institutions and serve individuals from all over the world who are looking to move and study and work internationally. India is a very important place for our work at WES. About quarter of our students, a quarter of the people we serve who are looking to study overseas, who are looking to immigrate and work overseas, a quarter of the people we serve every year are from India. So, obviously, an important market for us to understand. And as we discussed, we conduct credential evaluations. We've been around for a long time. We were founded in 1974, so we
That's like more
celebrated
than 50 years.
50 years. We marked our 50th anniversary in 2024. And one of the core services we provide is credential evaluations. And it is a process of examining the education that an individual has completed,
Oh,
whether it's high school education or a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. We are the one of the world's experts in examining the education that's been completed in order to give people access to further education opportunities. People also use the credential evaluation beyond pursuing international education. They use it for immigration. They
oh.
use it for professional licensing, and they also use it to pursue additional employment opportunities or advancement opportunities for education as
No.
well.
Before we continue or like, dive deep into what you just mentioned, like credential evaluation seems like obvious thing, but it is not, talk much, right?
Yeah.
Especially here in India. So what is, give us a sense like, what exactly is it
Yeah.
and how important is it?
It is so important in the process of choosing your next step. Credential evaluation essentially opens doors.
Mhm.
And how does it open doors? There's a two-part process to what we do. Number one, we verify and authenticate that the individual has actually earned that qualification. And we do that authentication and verification by being in touch with the granting institution of that degree. So if someone is looking to pursue a master's degree and they bring us their bachelor's qualification, the first thing we do is to verify
Hmm.
and authenticate
Right.
that that person completed that degree by being in touch with the granting institution.
Yeah.
The second part of what we do is to determine the equivalency in the United States or Canada or the destination country. And by doing this analysis, we're essentially assessing the person's preparation for the next program they plan to pursue. So it's about verification and it's about comparability and equivalency to make sure that they are ready for their next step.
So it is about like student mobility as well as like context of workforce as well.
Yes, it's about student mobility. So it's about education, it's about immigration, it's about professional licensing, and it's also about advancing in your employment opportunities. So a credential evaluation opens doors
Oh.
and it gives a person sort of a trust and confidence and recognition of study that they have already completed.
Do you identify any gaps, like, since it is so important, why it isn't talked much about it? WES is being like a reputed, organization, which is like, so important to determine what student, has to study. Like you said that, what is the equivalency there abroad, and, why it is at the same time not talk, much, and, what is like, you guys doing to sensitize, students and their parents, how important is it?
Yeah, it is so important. When you look at the Indian students studying abroad, about 50% of them are, or 50% of the Indian students studying in the United States are pursuing a master's degree.
Mhm.
So you want to make sure that you get credit for the bachelor's degree that you have already completed. So there's a tremendous value
Uh-huh.
in having this evaluation of education you've already completed. Many Indian students work with agents, and we have close relationships with agents across India. We are trying to work to make sure that they are more and more aware of this as a tool to open more doors, this as a tool for admission. So, part of the reason we have recently established an office in India is to ensure that we can continue to spread the awareness of this as a tool in the process of planning the next steps
Yeah,
overseas.
this is so helpful, Esther, because WES, to be honest, I know that there is a World Education Services, something evaluates your credentials, but not many people know. And the second part was we don't know, or they don't know, like who to approach, right? Now you're saying that you have opened in India and Hyderabad as well, if I'm not right,
Oh, we
if I'm
have
not
we
wrong.
have colleagues and partners all over the country.
Uh-huh.
So we're primarily out of Delhi, but we have many partners in
Wonderful.
Hyderabad. And in fact, we have moved our customer care team is now in Hyderabad. So we've moved that service
Wonderful.
out of the city here.
Super. And India now represents one of the largest sources of like, globally student mobility. Yeah. So what will it take, in your view, for this talent to become relevant for global markets?
The talent is absolutely relevant for global markets. It is impressive that in India there are 246 million students in grade 1 to 12. That is a massive market of talent. There are 40 million learners in universities in India. That number will double by 2035 as India approaches a gross enrollment ratio of 50%. That's a massive market for talent. So we and the world see India as a global leader in higher education. And India will play a crucial role in the global talent workforce of the future. 1 in 3 graduates already in STEM is Indian. That's unbelievable. 1 in every 3 STEM graduates in the world coming from India is phenomenal. So, as you can imagine, with an aging population in North America and in Europe, and with a young population in the global South, particularly in India and Africa, global talent will need to come from here. We are poised well to take advantage of Indians as leaders in higher education and as a major source of powering the global talent workforce.
Yeah, the connecting to the point, you just mentioned, do you want to give, like, I wouldn't say advice, but, do you see something like whatever the political uncertainties now in United States, like, will
Yeah,
they tend to change? Like, you can choose to skip the answer, but, I would want you to add something to that so that,
yeah,
you can give the confidence,
yeah,
to students.
yeah. We've been in existence since 1974. So the organization has seen it all. We've seen the numbers rise, the numbers contract, and situations change over time. Different administrations come and go in the White House, in the United States, and different policies come into effect. And those policies change over time. Bilateral relationships change over time.
True, very true.
Geopolitical considerations change over time. But I believe that international education and international student mobility is here to stay. We have about 7 million international students in the world today. Of that number, about 1.8 million students studying around the world are Indian. So this number is going to continue to increase despite changing geopolitical
Yeah,
considerations.
the
So
numbers shows that, whatever you're saying.
numbers show that, absolutely.
Yeah.
And with 246 million Indians in grade 1 to 12, certainly a portion of those individuals, once they when they complete 12th grade, will look abroad for their next opportunity.
You keep a track very closely, that your
I
numbers what
track
you're
these
saying.
numbers very closely, and we track it weekly, monthly, and certainly on an annual basis how things are changing. And we also follow closely the changes in policy.
Give me a
Um,
sense, Esther, like, the rise in this, cross-border education, like, is it resonates, or, something to do with that, high standards in a credential verification? How important is it?
the level of rigor is so important to
Mhm,
bring to the field of credential evaluation. Higher education systems are inherently different
mhm,
around the world.
mhm, mhm.
It is important for us as an organization to understand the education system of every country and every region. We examine the national qualification framework. We examine the regulatory system, the accreditation system. And then when we look at degrees, we're looking to understand what was required to gain admission to that program that a person has completed. What was the length of the program, the number of years? What were the credits required? We look at whether it was a theoretical degree or a practical degree. We look at why that program exists. Does it provide articulation to another degree? Does it give access to certain kinds of work? So the rigor, the extensive analysis that we bring to this work is quite in depth. And we're looking at quality frameworks. So, this kind of examination is what gives confidence to higher education institutions across North America that we have properly examined the completed education and that we have assessed someone's preparation for their next degree. So this is not done lightly. It's done with 50 years of insights, 50 years of thought leadership, 50 years of setting standards that many other institutions that have followed. So you can imagine the pride and the seriousness and rigor that we bring to the process of evaluating
Wonderful.
credentials.
How strong does it benefits the institutions? What do you think?
It benefits institutions in terms of sending institutions. So if Indian institutions have had large numbers of individuals who go overseas, there's recognition that this is an institution that has graduates who are confidently moving overseas. It also gives confidence for institutions who are accepting students to come to their organization to pursue their studies. It gives them confidence that the people who are being admitted to the new program are coming with the preparation to be successful
Adding
in
to
what
that
they are
point, how does
pursuing.
it benefits to employers and the governments as well? How do you want to add that?
We have stories of individuals who've come to us and said, I've been in this job for a few years and I think I can do more. I can contribute more. I think I should be up for a promotion. I can take on higher levels of responsibility. So, people who've come to us for an evaluation to use with an employer have taken that evaluation and made the case that they have completed this education and they're actually prepared to take on more responsibility within the company that they're employed, or as they look to move to another employment opportunity. The evaluation of academic credentials can also be of benefit.
Wonderful. And looking at the past and especially students who wants to go, pursue their studies abroad, there is intentionally or sometimes discrepancies may occur. Especially in this credential evaluation or people who did not undergo with this evaluation, right? So there seem to be many discrepancies happened in before. How do you add to something to that where to erase this discrepancies where actually what they have studied and what kind of credits they may get abroad, and how authentic the credentials are, what is the procedure, how do you
Yeah.
do that?
It's important to bring rigor to this process so that we minimize discrepancies. And there are times when individuals would say, I have this degree and my friend has the same degree, and the equivalencies are different.
Hmm,
Why?
hmm.
And sometimes the answer is the program changed and your friend's degree was 5 years before yours, and the program evaluation changed over those years, and sometimes there may be an error. So we are trying to make sure that it's a consistent process, and as you can imagine, we are deploying technology to help us in that regard. And over 50 years we've evaluated credentials for about 5 million people.
That's
And
a big number.
it's a large number, and that those 5 million people often have more than one degree.
Hmm.
So about 5 million people who've brought us more than 6 million credentials over time. So we have a lot of experience in being able to look back as we do a new evaluation, comparing over time. And now, with the advent of new technologies, we will deploy new technologies. We are deploying new technologies to make sure that the process is rigorous, it's consistent, and that it brings value to every individual we
Wonderful,
serve.
wonderful. And what is the mechanism you adopt basically in terms of timelines? Because it is not
Yeah.
only education, the students or people they want to go to abroad. It is also immigration, right?
Yes. Yes.
Sometimes the timelines where your credentials are given for the verification and or vetting, and they take long time. There was no certainty.
Yeah.
Has the
Yeah.
situation changed now?
Yeah. So there are two parts to the evaluation. One is the verification, and the second is the equivalency. The part of the process that takes the most time is verification. There are some credential evaluation organizations that just do the equivalency and
Okay.
they don't do the verification.
Mhm,
We do the verification
mhm.
for every single applicant. So, the part of the process that currently takes the most time is verification, reaching out to the university. And most of the time, this is done digitally, but we will need to wait for the university to respond to us and to confirm that, in fact, this individual completed their studies at their institution. So that process takes the longest period of time in this process.
So
Once
you do really meticulously.
we do it meticulously, we are very thorough, and we do not cut corners. The second part of determining the equivalency is done on a relatively shorter period of time. It can be as quick as 4 days, but certainly under about 10 business days.
Okay.
So the rest of the time is really about verification. And we know that there's a sense of urgency.
Okay.
There is an admission deadline
Very true.
looming.
True.
There's a visa application pending.
Mhm.
There's a scholarship being considered. And there's an immigration application being reviewed. We know there is a sense of urgency,
Yeah, where you need
and
to have like robust
absolutely. So
process.
we are so focused
Mm.
on shortening the time frame for verification. This is a top priority for us. Just a few years ago, this was a very manual process of sending letters back and forth.
Ah,
Today it's 90% digital,
right.
but we still need to wait for the institution to verify from their side. So we hope that in the coming months that we'll be able to accelerate the process of verification
Where do
even
you think
further.
generally takes time? Like, since you said like, institutions have to come, get back to you guys,
Yeah,
like what is the status?
yeah,
Like, what do you see? How do you see that what is usually may
yeah.
go wrong or takes time?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Individuals come on the WES website,
Hmm.
they apply for an evaluation, and then the first step is them asking their institution to verify the credential. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time before the graduate
Hmm.
contacts their university and says, verify the credential with WES. And then it takes some time for the institution to get back to WES. And then the last piece, as I mentioned, is the equivalency. So again, we need to look at each of these aspects of the process and try to shorten each of those time frames so that we can really accelerate the service to all of our
Yeah.
applicants.
In the current scenario, Esther, please give us a sense like, does India need to ramp up this, credential evaluation current scenario? Because, foreign campuses are coming to India and the numbers been increasing, like you said, that large numbers, like, we have in the past. And, that continues.
Yes,
That's very
yes.
promising. So
Yeah.
in this kind of a scenario, so does India really need to ramp up?
India will be ramping up in higher education. India will need to ramp up in terms of the types of services we provide for credential evaluation. If you think of expanding higher education from 40 million to 80 million, the expansion will be significant. Over the coming years, we will need to expand and ramp up and be able to take on even more scale in terms of Indian students who study abroad and Indian individuals who pursue employment overseas. The numbers are truly, truly compelling. We've never seen these types of numbers in any country or any region of the world. Today, 40 million Indian university students. By 2035, a doubling of that number to 80 million students in higher education. Again, we've never seen this anywhere in the world.
True.
Many of those individuals will then go from their undergrad to pursue graduate studies overseas. They will need credential evaluations. They may also choose to study in the country with foreign universities that are setting up in the country. So the numbers are compelling. Again, 1 in 3 STEM graduates being Indian graduates. Uh, they will be looking for work opportunities around the world. They too will come to us for credential evaluations.
Wonderful.
This is why we set up our office in India in 2025, and we hope to be close to the Indian market and Indian customers who are looking to be mobile academically and professionally.
Do you see that, we were talking about, like, educational institutions. Do you see that even employers or organizations who wants to hire, these students, from abroad, I mean, foreign students, like they approach WS,
Absolutely.
or like, is it going to be like, benchmark WES authorized credentials, or like, they are approved everywhere in the world? Is that what something that we can imagine or visualize in the future?
We very much want to enable and accelerate opportunities for employment in the future. In fact, we have just launched a new 10-year direction for World Education Services, and it is focused on enabling and accelerating access to uh, good work overseas
Mm.
for professionals who are mobile. So we expect that employers will use credential evaluations and furthermore, licensing bodies.
Mhm.
These are licensing bodies that regulate professions where a license is needed. So, accountants and engineers and pharmacists and nurses and doctors, these are all regulated professions, and there are many Indians who pursue opportunities in regulated professions. We work very closely with licensing bodies to also provide credential evaluations for that purpose.
Having said that, what are some of the investments WS making in India?
Yeah, we are making a variety of investments. Of course, the investment to set up an operation in India is crucial. And in the past, I would say 6 years ago, all of our vendors and partners were in North America. Today, we have a number of partners in India. I'm sitting with you in Hyderabad, and our customer care center is now in Hyderabad. We have a major technology partner in Hyderabad. All in, we have about 12 partners, 12 major partners
That's good.
in India. So this is work in the past that would have been done in North America that's being done in India. This is important for us. If you have 25% of your customers coming from India, shouldn't an organization also be expected to have a presence on the ground? I believe so, and Wes believes so. We also want to have relationships directly with Indian universities, with Indian policymakers, and students themselves. We want to have the ability to speak with and interact with agents in the market, with government officials. So we are investing in being in one of our most important markets, and this is important to us. It's an important investment and one that will continue to expand.
Wonderful. And given India's ambitions in global workforce mobility, how do you see this in the future?
India will power the talent pipeline in the future. That will be STEM, it will be business, and it will be beyond. But particularly in STEM and general business management, Indian professionals bring a range of skills, and they will offer that into the global workforce. WES traditionally, over the first 50 years, was focused on credential evaluation and giving recognition to academic qualifications. Our new 10-year strategy will expand beyond the recognition of education. Our expansion will cover two other areas that have been part of our vision all along. We've always had a vision of ensuring that every individual in the world can have recognition for their education, their work experience, and their skills. It's three parts. People, as they move around the world, should be given credit for what they've completed in their studies, the work experience that they have gained, and the skills that they have gained over time. For the first 50 years of WES, we were focused on recognition of education.
And why don't you add a verified trust?
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's what credential evaluation is, but it's recognition of education. In the future, we expect to offer tools to also provide recognition of work experience and skills. So it's three parts: making sure that people get credit for education,
Do you think, like,
experience, and
these three
skills.
aspects what you just said, they will define the successful, education or the mobility, in the
Absolutely.
world?
We see these as essential components to enable people to access work that is appropriate for them. And we call this our good work strategy. Everyone wants to be in a job that's suited for them, that they have studied for, that they have prepared for. So that's what we call our good work strategy, enabling every person in the world to unlock their full potential by being in jobs, or even pursuing entrepreneurship opportunities. Should be able to do good work that is appropriate for them.
Wonderful. Before we end up, like, how do you suggest, like, students or their parents, how important, going through or coming to WES for their enhanced development, or how do you say that holistic way, and where they can shape up their, education and the career in future, how WES like being part of this, important aspect.
I would suggest come to us early in the process.
Mhm.
Get a WES evaluation early in the process of considering international study. We will provide you an evaluation that will help you determine where you might want to study,
Mm.
what you might want to study, but have this tool at the start of the process rather than later in the process. It will help you understand all of the options available to you, all of the institutions that you're eligible to seek admissions with. So come to us early, use this as a tool, and there are others who will counsel and guide people along the way, but this is a tool that will benefit the individual early and throughout the process. And our aim is to make sure that an individual has as many doors open for them as possible that they can enter through with trust and confidence and credibility.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, for being here, Esther. There was so much insight that, you have given. And students, of course, like, they think there is a small confusion or jinx where this, WS validation or vetting or this evaluation process only for like IELTS or, some kind of a competitive exams or eligibility test to go abroad. But it is not, for even like education or higher studies in abroad, and even for the immigration or the career opportunities, this is a gateway, we can say that.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a tool for opportunity, opportunity in education, migration, licensing, and employment, and ultimately to really unlock the possibilities for your life and career.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Yeah,
Thank you.
చూసారు కదా. సో ఎస్తేర్ చెప్పిన విషయాలు చాలా ఉపయోగకరం. బికాజ్ స్టూడెంట్స్ ఈరోజు మనం ఐఎల్సో లేకపోతే ఇంకో ఎలిజిబిలిటీ టెస్ట్ కోసమో కాదు. సో అబ్రాడ్లో పర్సూ చేయాలి ఎడ్యుకేషన్ అనుకున్న వాళ్ళకి డబ్ల్యూఎస్ సర్టిఫైడ్ వెరిఫికేషన్ జరిగితే చాలా ఉపయోగాలు ఉంటాయి, కేవలం ఎడ్యుకేషన్కే కాదు. సో డబ్ల్యూఎస్ చాలా గైడ్ కూడా చేస్తుంది, ఏ కెరియర్ ఎంచుకోవాల్సిన అవసరం ఉంటుంది, అలాగే వాళ్ళ వాళ్ళ శక్తి సామర్థ్యాలని బట్టి ఏ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఏది పర్స్యూ చేస్తే వాళ్ళు కెరీర్‌లో ముందుకెళ్తారు. అలాగే వాళ్ళని హైర్ చేసుకునే ఎంప్లాయర్‌కి ఇది ఏ రకంగా ఉపయోగపడుతుంది. అట్ ద సేమ్ టైమ్ ఇక్కడ ఆల్రెడీ గ్రాడ్యుయేషన్ పర్స్యూ చేసినట్టయితే మీకు ఈక్వలెంట్‌గా అమెరికాలో అవ్వచ్చు, లేకపోతే అబ్రాడ్‌లో ఏమేమి ఈక్వలెంట్‌గా కోర్సెస్ ఉన్నాయి. దాంట్లో మీకు ఎంత క్రెడిట్స్ వస్తాయి. ఇవన్నీ చాలా కరెక్ట్‌గా ఇవాల్యుయేట్ చేసి మీకు సహాయపడే విధంగా వరల్డ్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ సర్వీసెస్ ఉంది అనేది మనకి ఎస్థర్ బెంజమిన్ మాటలతోనే మనకి తెలిసింది. ఫర్ ఎనీ ఫర్దర్ మోర్ ఎంక్వైరీస్ ఇలాంటివి తెలుసుకోవాలి అంటే కనుక డబ్ల్యూఎస్ సర్వీస్ కస్టమర్ సర్వీస్ కూడా ఈరోజు ప్రారంభించబడింది. అలాగే న్యూ ఢిల్లీలో ఆఫీస్ కూడా వీళ్ళు ప్రారంభించారు. సో మన ఇండియన్ స్టూడెంట్స్ ఎంతమంది అబ్రాడ్ వెళ్ళి చదువుతారు ఆ నంబర్స్‌తో సహా, స్టాటిస్టిక్స్‌తో సహా ఆవిడ మనకి వివరించారు. సో దిస్ డెఫినెట్‌లీ వి థింక్ దట్ ఇట్ ఈస్ హెల్ప్‌ఫుల్ ఫర్ యూ. అండ్ డబ్ల్యూఈఎస్ రాబోయే తరానికి వస్తున్న ఆపర్చునిటీస్‌కి ఒక గేట్‌వేగా, ఓ ఎంట్రీ పాయింట్‌గా ఉంది అనేది వాళ్ళ మాటల్లో మనకు అర్థమవుతుంది. థాంక్ యూ ఫర్ వాచింగ్.